Uh, Hello, everyone. Um, we are here to present our paper on dynamics of urban villages. We'll be mapping the transformation of village Shahabedi in Greater Noida in the paper. So, I'd like to start with a quote by Dr. Tapash Viswas that the structure and function of villages surrounding a city has traditionally been an important area of research as it helps us to know the impact of city on economy, land use, and social structure of the villages. On the other hand, such analysis could help frame policy that addresses the issue of resource optimization and the pace of growth of the services sector from the city center to the adjoining villages. I'd like to discuss the phenomena that is being researched here, that the process of globalization is based on the idea of economic growth and has resulted in similar cities with complete ignorance towards the locality and tradition. Instead of preserving these traditional and culturally rich areas, it is actually leading to gentrification of such villages. As rightly stated by the Neil Smith, that the neoliberal state becomes the consummate agent of rather than a regulator of market. The new revanchist urbanism that replaces liberal urban policy in cities of advanced capitalist world increasingly expresses the impulses of capital production rather than social reproduction. In Indian context, the stake of informal sector is so large that it cannot be totally ignored. Most of the Indian cities are grown from traditional cores. Thus, there are hidden processes which are difficult to be understood without understanding the need of community, as they have played a key role in structuring the existing system, especially in case of informal settlements. With the rapid pace of urbanization in Delhi NCR, many villages have got progressively severed from their traditional sources of sustenance, that is agriculture, as they got surrounded by urban growth. They have changed uh, They have changed and grown in response to pressure and opportunities of surrounding urban development. The existing villages that have been flourishing for hundreds of years, much before the expansion of Delhi was what it is today. Because of this growth, the city has often cocooned the villages, restricting the boundaries of villages and taking away the prime means of their income, which is agriculture. So I'd like to discuss the context of the village that we are talking about. The village of Greater Noida, we know about the Greater Noida, its location. It comes under the purview of National Capital Region. It is located about 40 kilometers southeast of New Delhi. Greater Noida has two phases of development. The first phase, which you see here in the land use colors, is known as the main city of the Greater Noida, which is an educational and industrial center. And then there was the second part, which was called the Greater Noida Extension, due to its proximity with Noida City, and later on renamed as Greater Noida West due to attached controversy to it. This second phase is still in process of being defined land use, and it is finding its identity amidst the group housings which are coming in the region. So, in the peripheral areas of master plan, we can clearly see how there exists a closely connected structure of village communities based on trade and agriculture as their primary mode of occupation. The network is proposed and bound to change on the lines of rest of Delhi NCR with a gridiron sector grid. There is allotment of large plots on this area for group housing and industrial developments. The village Shahaberi actually lies within the municipal boundaries of Greater Noida Authority. Spatially, this village has greater value due to its location at the junction of three cities in eastern part of Delhi NCR. These three cities are Noida, Ghaziabad, and Greater Noida. There is a strong historic context to this village. This village, which is known as Shahaberi, actually translates from Royal Waters. The village is located on the banks of Hindon, was originally inhabited by Mughal descendants. The village is more than 3,300 years old. And during the revolt of 1857, the farmers from Dasna village brought the Shahaberi. The village played an important role in trade due to its proximity to National Highway 24, which you can see in the image on the right, which was on 1933. And there is also a railway line which is passing to Calcutta. The line to railway line to Calcutta is also connected from this village. The village can be located easily on survey of India map dated 1848 and 1933, as you can see here. The structure of village Shahaberi, now we are talking about how it was before the development came into play back in 2010, which is the pre-urbanization phase of the village. Uh, so before this, it was a typical rural settlement. Typical rural settlements, I would like to define in a brief, and this is the structure of this. This was the structure of Shahaberi village also. They they were typically located on higher terrain as compared to surrounding agricultural land. There was a water body uh, or river, such as river or a pond for everyday needs for irrigation. And depending on the community profile, religious profile, such as temples and mosques were also present. An important movement corridor, which is the oldest and shortest connection of the region to National Highway 24, passes through the village, across the village. Uh, this resulted in establishment of bazaar or market along the central corridor. Instead of formal parks and gardens, the public spaces in this village are actually developed for cultural purpose such as Ramlila Maidan, religious buildings and their surrounding areas, and chowks are the public spaces. These chowks are usually located near the important buildings such as Pradhan's house, school or post office. The images here describe the visual character of the village. So now let's talk about what brought the change in this village. Um, so there was a master plan proposal which was based on the agricultural land which was belonging to village Shahaberi along with 12 other villages was acquired by Greater Noida Industrial Development Authority for the purpose of industrial development. In return, the village was given 5% compensation as per land value of industrial use. Later, the land was given to 25 builders for construction of residential flat at the rate of 12,000 rupees per square meter. To this, there was a strong opposition from the villages, protest and court case from the Shahaberi village. The construction of all the projects, including well-known Gore City and Spire Tech and such projects was brought to hold, and it led to a kind of stay on these projects. So this is the process. These were the kind of protests which came into play. It was all over in the news, and it also triggered number of other villages to protest and go to court against the acquisition. There were a number of public meetings, there were a number of NGOs which were coming into play. We were one of them. Finally, what happened that the 156 hectare of land was reclaimed by farmers as per Supreme Court order, and it was returned to the villagers. So here I would like to quote Paul Virillo on where this leads to. There are eyes everywhere, no blind spot left. What shall we dream of when everything becomes visible? We'll dream of being blind. With this, I would like to pass on to my co-author, uh, architect Anand Pratap Singh. Anand, please take over from here.
Thank you so much, Kamini. As Kamini has already told us that the village Shabri is located on the interface of three existing urban centers. The presence of pond, old havelis, mosque, and temple added to the vibrancy and strong historical background. With bureaucratic, political, and economic forces in play, the long existing systems were disturbed. Contrary to the trend, the village disregarded its obvious fate by protesting against forced land acquisition. The transformation was unique one due to the availability of large land area and no formal regulations in place. This was much rapid due to fear of reacquisition. The village grew as the service provider for the nearby societies, and economic value was the most important force to guide the transformation. Here, the Google image shows how the village and the surrounding areas has grown since in 20 years. The village of Shabari has now outgrown into threefold its original area. The large agricultural land is subdivided into smaller agricultural plots or to further smaller residential plots. Two, the plots are constructed as a mini group housing or the flats for rentals. The plots along the main village spines connecting to the NS24 through the village course were obvious space for development as a commercial entities such as shops, hotels, furniture market, and construction material supply. Only a large piece of land belonging to one of the big landholder with orchard is still left intact and is used for agriculture. Can you go on this next slide, please? This is how village has transformed in a period of 20 years. This is the type of construction which is happening in village Shabari right now. So there is a mix of agriculture and very large amount of informal construction. Now informal according to the UN Habitat Program, urban informality is defined as a residential area where a group housing unit has been constructed on a land to which occupants have no legal claim or which they occupy illegally. These are also can be defined as unplanned settlements where housing is not in compliance with current planning or building regulations. Unauthorized housing excludes unit where land titles, lease, or occupancy permitted has been granted. In case of Delhi, more than the half of the population lives in Delhi are in informal settlement. By looking at the master plan of Delhi and correspond it with the Google map, we can easily identify the location of major part of informal population. The urban peripheries has been marked as weak spaces for informal settlement. It's worth noticing that master plan identify these existing dense settlements as urbanizable land. According to their record, these are land which can be used for various kinds of other projects, but they are actually being occupied by various kinds of informal settlements. Next, please. Though there are various theories which we can find in readings. According to Satpathy, these settlements have three types of transformation: the beginning stage, bloom stage, and the saturation stage. In the beginning stage, the agrarian land in the urban fringes convert into residential use by low-income families, covering a little part of the land territory into smaller settlements. Streets are laid to connect the scattered structures built upon large chunks of land. The bloom stage is the collective development stage pulls in a progression of middle-income families. At this stage, the scattered settlements start densifying by converting large plots into subdivided and formally plotted smaller residential unit that which constitute 80% of the land. The saturation stage, in this most of the residential residences convert into mixed use and expand vertically to fulfill the growing needs of the settlement itself and the surrounding. And shortage of the land, which reflected back in the increase in the value of the price of the land. The village Shabari currently is in stage 2, and that is the bloom stage where the collective development is still occurring. However, in no time this will reach to the third stage of saturation. Next, please. Okay. This study led us to the understanding of 6 stages of transformation of traditional rural agriculture based village into contemporary dense settlement on the urban periphery. This phenomena may occur due to any of the urban forces such as economical, environmental, political, and social. This surely have a relationship with the urban planning processes causing formation of liminal spaces. These settlements generally emerge out of the need for the provision for the service for the surrounding development. The result of this case of the village under study was the formation of a hybrid informality where one part of village is adamant to remain agrarian and practice agriculture, while other part is transformed without any regulatory framework. This growth may look random, yet it silently poses a hidden pattern of time value mapping. The spatial transformation of developed zone include plotted residences, flatted housing, a commercial zone to provide service and amenities which are difficult or very expensive in planned settlement. A linear strip of commerce along with central spine. The land along the edges are also sold up to group housing originally planned by the authority. Many villagers have migrated out to the nearby gated communities, aspiring for a better urban living. So this is the case of village Shaberi, and with this I would like to thank you all and thank you so much.